Hey, so today I thought I would do the New York Times by the book tag, and I feel like I'm the only person that hasn't done this tag yet, so I'm just gonna jump straight into it. The first question is, what book is on your bedside table? And I don't have a bedside table, but the three that are on my floor are these three. They are the next three books which I am planning on reading, starting with Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, Alice and the Fly by James Rice, and We Are All Completely Beside Ourselves by Karen Joy Fowler, which I will be buddy reading with Lauren from Lauren and the Books. What is the last truly great book you read? As soon as I read this question, one book popped into my head, and that was Room by Emma Donoghue. When I read this book, I could not put it down. I was so interested in it, both in terms of like the writing, but also like the subject matters, and I was very interested in the characters and what was going to happen to them. I love Room. It's relatively early in the year, but Room's definitely a contender for the best book I read throughout the entirety of the year. If you could meet any author, dead or alive, who would you meet and what would you talk about? I think the obvious answer to this for me is J.K. Rowling. I would love to meet J.K. Rowling. I would love to talk to her about writing and Harry Potter, but don't meet your heroes is a thing. I feel like I would potentially be too overwhelmed by her to have a proper conversation. Other contenders are Wendy Cope and Carol Ann Duffy, because I'm massive fans of their poetry, and I do like to consider myself a poet, so I would love to sit down and talk to them about, you know, writing poetry and being a woman and how to get published. And another contender is Louise O'Neill, who wrote Only Ever Yours and Asking for It. I'm such a big fan of Louise O'Neill. I would love to talk to her about feminism and writing and being in the public eye and being an Irish woman. I would love to talk to her. Next question is, what book would we be surprised to find on your shelf? And I don't know if there are any books that anyone would be surprised to see on my shelf. I suppose maybe some unexpected ones would be things like, I've got quite a lot of science-based books. So for instance, I have Question Everything, which is a new scientist book, and I have quite a few new scientist books as well. They tend to be shelf sitters for quite a while, but I do tend to get around to them. Haven't got around to this one yet, and I tend to like dip in and out of them rather than sitting down and reading it from cover to cover, but yeah, I've got quite a lot of science-based books. How do you organise your personal library? I just shove everything where it fits. I have a very small bookcase and many books, so when I try to organise it, I try to kind of do it by size so I can make the most out of the space. So books that are the same sort of height are all together. And then within that, it's kind of author and genre. So I've got quite a few Jeanette Winterson books, and they're all together. And then all of my gender-based books are kind of around there. African literature is together, Asian literature is together, but within the size specification. Books that are from the same kind of series are all together, both in the sense of like series like Harry Potter and a series of Unfortunate Events, they're all together, but also a series of books that are published under the same kind of collection, so like Wordsworth Classics are all together, Penguin Classics are all together, and my bookshelf has started to spill into just piles on the floor. What books have you always meant to read but never got round to, and are there any books that you are embarrassed to have not read? Same book for both kind of questions. Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I already know I'm gonna love this book, and I haven't even read it yet. I'm such a big fan of Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie as a person. I think she's absolutely fantastic. But I've never read Americana, and it will be read in June potentially, I think. Disappointing, overrated, and just not good. What book do you think you were supposed to like but didn't? Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I spoke about this in a wrap-up quite recently, and I understand why so many people like Pride and Prejudice, but it's just not really my cup of tea. I'm looking forward to reading more Austen though, and I have had some recommendations of where I should go to next. I definitely will read more Jane Austen. Linked to that question slightly, do you remember the last book that you picked up and put down without finishing? I've got two for this. One was a course book that I didn't particularly get on with called Pure by Andrew Miller. I ended up doing a creative writing assignment where I had to talk about that, and apparently my engagement with the book was really good. I read like 50 pages of it, but you know, I'm gonna take that praise. Also, The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith. I'm not massively into crime fiction, but I am gonna try reread that book and try and get to the end and then continue on with the series. I've heard audiobooks are a good way to get through that, so I'll definitely be trying out that recommendation of how to get through them. What kind of stories are you drawn to, and is there anything you steer clear of? I'm drawn to like sort of a wide range of books, I suppose. Predominantly the types of stories I am drawn to are stories which have a lot to do with gender or LGBT plus queer kind of themes, or just ones that happen to have queer characters in them. I read a lot of YA. I'm reading an increasing amount of sci-fi and fantasy, which I think is quite good. I'm also drawn to some sorts of literary fiction. I'm kind of finding my path and getting into literary fiction. I think that's something the Genreathon taught us. As far as steering clear of things go to, I don't tend to like crime and horror, but you know, if the story is good, it will be good regardless of genre. If you could make the Prime Minister read any book, which would it be? I don't know, like Beginner's Guide to Tax, Animal Farm, The Three Little Pigs. Leave your pig-based literature recommendations in the comments. And finally, what do you plan on reading next? Once I get done with the 3 that are currently on my bedroom floor, I do want to get around to John Connolly's The Book of Lost Things. I've had this book for quite a while and I do really want to get around to it. But also things like The Art of Being Normal by Lisa Williamson, I really want to get around to that. How to Be Both by Ali Smith, but I think I'm gonna go to this one before those. So yeah, that was the New York Times by the book tag. If you are one of the few people left that haven't done this tag, consider yourself officially tagged and you need to do it now.